Dismantling enemy Gary in the bunker!
Fan vad grym du är, Berit. Tack, Gary, kungen.
Do you wanna know how I always know where the enemies are? How they move? Where their spawn points are? This map is a very good example. It's the Remagen. We all know about the river here. You can't cross it. You need to use an airhead. So, if we would start in the south, we all know where the enemy airheads usually go. They go here or here. Always. To know if an enemy have dropped an airhead, I sometimes place a garrison or an OP right here in the corner. Maybe my team think, what is she doing? Why is she putting a spawn point way off? She can't spawn there. There's nothing to do there. There's no fighting there. But you see, this garrison is gonna light up red the second an enemy put a foot here. This happened one time when me and my brother played Recon. We placed our UP here in the corner. It turned red and we alarmed our team right away that an enemy airhead has landed over here. I don't think anyone believed us really, because how would we know? But we told them our outpost is red, there are enemies here in the corner, it's most likely an airhead. And we went over there, dismantled it, and the attack was over. Just because we used the functions of the game. This is the map of Carentan. It is very well known for flanks. There's always someone flanking in the north, and there's always someone flanking in the south. You can't be everywhere all the time. You can't have eyes everywhere. But one thing you can do is to put up your spawn points at I can't say that word. I always have problem. Strategic. Yeah. Oh, I can say it, but you know what I mean. You put your spawn points at great places. So, here in the north, you put an OP or a garrison somewhere there. If the enemies come from the east, the OP will light up red the second they pass here. If the enemies do a supply drop and build a garrison here, the OP will light up red the second they put their foot here. You will know about the north attack right away, without even being there. Sometimes I say on the radio, we get enemies attacking from the north. Maybe I'm down here. How would I know what's happening over here? It's because I put an OP here. It's red. Anytime a spawn point is red, it's clear. There's enemies over there. On this map, these train tracks are very common for supply trucks, tanks, or transport trucks with enemies trying to flank. Sometimes I put an OP by the train station here. If a tank, transport truck, supply truck passes right by my OP, I see it. I always run with the map. I almost look at the map more than not. If this blinks red, I will see it. If I'm up by the church fighting, I will see enemies by the train tracks. It's most definitely a vehicle of some sort. If the enemies were coming from the east, I would think they have a supply truck. I would cover the west side. I would think it's a tank. I would run here and look if it is a tank. But the second it light up, I know the train tracks are being used by the enemies, most likely vehicles. If we're fighting up here, I can put an OP by the train tracks here, just to keep an eye on if they are coming out of HQ, getting us from behind. You can put up spawn points by the different HQ, just to see when they are passing. The same thing if the enemies were on this side. One time I put up a OP here by the houses. It light up. You see this road, very common for driving supply trucks or tanks. Maybe we are fighting by the points down here, or maybe we are fighting in town center, doesn't matter. When my OP light up, something happens in HQ, most likely a supply truck, and it will go on the road. Most likely here, maybe right into the point, but it will follow the road and we will get it. That's how I know, by spawn points lighting up. Omaha Beach, if the point was artillery battery, this is very common to put out spawns around it to see where the enemies come from. It's the south, it's the west, it's the north, it's the east. You see all the time. If the enemies come from the north, if the enemies come from the west, if they try here in the south, if they got an airhead over here, it light up and you see it. If we are playing offensive here on the beach, I would put outpost up here in the north, just to see it go red if the enemies are there. I would put garrison in the south, just to see when the enemies come from the south. I can be here fighting, but I have eyes, all this, just because the spawn points light up. Sometimes I get a question as an officer, put your OP up. Why don't you put your OP up? We need a new OP. Put your OP up. And I tell them, I put my OP up where I think the OP should be. Sometimes I have a thought about it. Maybe I put the OP up here not because it's a good way to spawn. Maybe I say to my team, I want you to hold the south side. I want you to hold here. But the OP is gonna be up here, just to see if we are needed to push up and defend in the north. It's just a way to control a bigger area. The map is blank, you don't know anything. But these outpost garrisons let you know directly when an enemy is close. And you are one step ahead all the time. Stalingrad is a very, very good example. Because far north, far south, these roads you will see when a tank coming, you will see it. You will see when a squad tries to flank in the north, you will see it. Doesn't matter where you are on the map, you will see it because you put a spawn point there. Think about it next time you play. If you're fighting in this sector, for example, if we show the here, if we fight at yellow house, think about putting your OP up. Think about putting your OP up by the road. Maybe you want to put your OP in the point, but put it by the road. When it lights up, enemies are coming from the west, most likely a tank, pushing into the point. You will see it, and you will be ready. If you're fighting about railway, you would want to put your OP in the point, but instead, try to push over the train tracks. If you come from the east, try to push over the train tracks and put your OP up here. If you're fighting in a point and it light up, you know they are coming from the south. And you will know it when they are only on the west side. They are not even here. They are on the west side still. But you will know it very, very early. And you can push down and hold the south. Or push down and hold the south. Or even do a bombing run on the west side here. You can use the OP to know when they're coming from the south. The same here. If you are fighting about House of Workers and all the enemies come from south, you can put an OP up in the north here. Just to know enemies are taking the north flank. Enemies are crossing the train tracks in the north. You will know in a second.